I am Adriana Martinez, and today we're going to be creating two books using the Japanese stab binding method. For the first book, you will need a postcard. I like to get these when events already have expired. These will be left around the city, and if they're cool, I pick them up and I'm able to create this little book, which we're creating today. Using the postcard, you're also going to need paper that is cut down to the size of your book to create a little signature. So I cut them down and I have folded them in half. So this postcard and needle and thread to create this first book. Also for the second book, you will need the needle and thread as well. So a little trick on how to thread your needle. It helps if you grab a little piece of paper and make like a little taco with the yarn inside and then pull it through, because pulling this yarn on its own is very tricky to do. This particular activity is good for ages 12 and up just because we're using the needle and thread, and it takes kind of some skill to put it together. And strength to pull the string through the covers. So ideally you would use wax thread because it just runs through smoother. But I wanted to do it incorporating things you have in your home already. So if you have string or yarn at home, you could use this. The other tip for this is that you want to pre-punch your holes to make them a little bigger, again, so that it is easier to thread through. Otherwise, you're really like tugging in this book. So 2 tips for you guys. So this style of bookbinding became very popular in Japan around the Edo period in 1600s to 1868. Then it was replaced with Western hardcover binding in 1890. Because of the way that Japanese is read, it is read from the back to the front, or right to left. During the Edo period, Edo, which is modern day Tokyo, becomes a major economic hub. And so at one point, the population grows to 1 million. Before this, paper was only used by the elite class because it was so expensive. After this economic boom, it becomes very available, and so literacy grows in Japan. This type of binding is very economical, and it also preserves the book. Before, you had these scrolls that you would open and close, and so they got tarted or messed up. But the books, the way that they are binded using this technique, it makes them last longer. So for the first book, you will need a postcard, some paper cut down to the size of your postcard. I used 5 or 6 papers to create my little signature. Then I just folded it in half, folded this in half, and I'm going to show you how to punch the holes and thread this to create this first book that we see here. So let me flip you around and we'll get started. Okay, so here's my book, and what I've done so far is I just marked where I'm going to be punching my holes. Right in the middle I punched, and then on the sides. First I would make the hole with like this paper clip, not paper clip, like push pin, just to get the holes going before threading it. It's just going to make it easier on me to do that. Okay, so we're ready to thread our book. I'm going to go through the middle, through the inside, so that we end up with our knot in the inside like this. Then from here, it doesn't matter if you go this way or that way, either way works. I'm going to go towards the top. And this is why it also helps to kind of pre-punch the holes, because you really have to tug at this. So I'm pulling it through the last hole. And you want to make sure that it doesn't get tangled up on you. So then I'm going to go back through the middle, which is the original hole that I had, so that I end up inside of the book. And it kind of helps to like peek a little in here. Okay, now I got it. So now I'm going back inside my book. Oops, hold on. So what I did is I just kind of loosened up my knot and then tied the ends together so that I have this book right here. So in conclusion, I went inside through the middle hole, came out here, went to the top hole, went all the way across here, then went out this back to the middle, which is where I started, and I loosened up my knot so that I can tie both strings together, and then I just snipped it. So this is the first book that I'm showing you how to make. For the second book, what you need is, I was using like a sketch pad, and I used the cardboard in the back, and then this is the top cover. There's two different thicknesses of cardboard, so you want something really hard for the back, and then you want something a little softer for the front. And then the hardest part is just cutting everything down to perfect size, because you want everything to look super clean. From here, I was gonna cover this with black paper, and then I just thought, oh, I can just use this right as my cover, because they're about the same thickness. But if you wanted to cover your cardboard, for example, this cardboard, if you wanted to do like a nice paper or something, the way you would do it is you would want to cut paper that is about 1 inch longer all the way around. Cut the corners so that you are practically hitting the cardboard, and then what you'll end up is this. So you want to glue it with glue stick, the cardboard to the construction paper, and then these you would like kind of push them down to get them to lay down flat, and then here I would glue in these flaps. The little corners that I cut off here, I can put in here inside of this, underneath this, to cover this little piece of cardboard. And then you could use another piece of paper inside to cover this part of the cardboard, if that makes sense. So I'm just gonna show you with what I have right here, which is the front of my sketchbook, the back cardboard part. The next step is to cut a piece of paper the size of your book, like this. And this is gonna help you determine where you're gonna be punching in your holes. So first you want to fold this in half. And then from here you would fold these in half as well. So then this is gonna be showing you 1, 2, 3, where your holes are gonna go in here. So 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I marked these lines so you could see what I'm talking about, but that's gonna inform you what their holes are gonna be stabbed in. So first I'm gonna be pre-punching. So as you can see, I pre-stabbed everything so that the hole is big enough when I thread it, which is the next part that we're gonna do. So the way to do this is go ahead and thread your yarn. And so you wanna go through the inside cover so that you pull it through. And I'm gonna start at the top, like this. And so then my yarn is gonna be looking like this. Now from here, I want to go out this way so that I am going to be pulling my yarn and pushing it in through the back. First, I'm going to pull it through my cardboard. Okay, so I went through the inside out, went around, went through my cardboard first, and now I'm going to go through my signature. So then that creates the first right there. From here, I'm going to go back around this way and into that first hole I was just in. It's easier to go through the cardboard first, then your signature, then the front cover. This. From here, I would go into my signature next. Okay, then from here I would go to that second hole in the middle. It kind of helps to see it from the top as your needle is working its way through. All the way like this. From here, I would go into the middle hole again. So I'm just trying to tighten everything up. So from here, I'm going to go in through there. Okay, so now that we finally went through there, I'm going to go around this way and back into this hole right here. Okay, lastly, getting to the end of this book, I'm gonna go through there. Okay, so now I'm at my last hole. I'm gonna put my string through here, not all the way to this cover, but the inside, so that I can tie it to this. Let me show you what I mean. So again, going into the back, finally. So I'm just gonna pull this all the way through. Like this. And here, I'm just gonna knot it like this. So I'm gonna go behind the knot that I have right there. And then string it through this. I cut this. Ta-da! So yeah, to use this book here, then I would just fold this down. All of my pages, I'm working on them. I would fold them down, and they'll already naturally do that. You could also do with like a bone folder. You could also use like a popsicle stick or something just to make this crisp. Sometimes I use like the side of a pen. Pushing this down. So then this gives you an idea of how this book works. Like this. Again, I didn't decorate my cover. You could have though, I could have used like a black cover instead, like construction paper, a little thicker ideally. Or I could have, like I said, glue, make it an inch all the way around. Like this, put my piece of cardboard, cut the corners off, glue these in, then use like a paper on top of this, cut it out to create my cover. But this gives you a general idea of how this can be done. Cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed creating these two booklets with me. One was a little easier. This one was a little more time consuming, but it's good practice to learn how to create different things. Me there, you can see prompts, videos on how to create one-page books for those of you who are interested in creating something a lot simpler. And this is good for younger children to do. Well, all ages, but it's just more inclusive to little fingers because today's books were a little harder because of the stitching involved. But like I said, if you go on Sketchbook Junkie, my Instagram page, you'll find other demos. I also do weekly prompts on there to keep people creative and show you how to use a journal. Definitely go and see how you can start a sketchbook. This could be like a little mini sketchbook. If you're a newer artist and don't really know how to get started in a book or how to stay creative inside a book, there's a lot of tips on there that you can take advantage of. Thank you so much for having me, and we'll see each other around in the virtual world, I suppose. I am doing workshop at Museo on Instagram Live every fourth Saturday. That is called the Sketch Club, and we do different prompts and activities there, again, every first Saturday at 11 a.m. So if you would like to catch me or catch another workshop, that would be the best way to go about it. Goodbye.